Welcome to our film analysis. In this section, we're going to discuss The Farewell, a film that follows Billy, a young Chinese American woman who goes back to China after finding out that her grandma, Nai Nai, has terminal cancer. The twist is that the family decides not to tell Nai Nai about it, following a Chinese tradition of protecting loved ones from harsh truths. To cover it up, they plan a fake wedding so everyone can be together. And Billy feels torn between the honesty she grew up with in the US and her family's way of handling things. The story mixes humor and emotion and shows the importance of family and culture. Now, our analysis consists of explaining how the film portrays two of Hofstede's dimensions, also high context and low context, and culture shock. Let's start with individualism and collectivism. The central conflict of whether telling Nai Nai that she's in the final stage of cancer is the peak of individualism versus collectivism. On the one hand, Billy was raised with values and traditions of the Western culture, a culture characterized for its individualism, one of Hofstede's dimensions, which emphasizes individuals' goals over group goals. Billy refuses to accept the family's decision to withhold the truth from Nai Nai. This attitude shows that she is thinking what is best for her grandmother, according to her own perspective. Although she just tries to do what is best for her grandma, she's not taking into consideration the reason why the family adopted the position of not telling Nai Nai the truth. On the other hand, the rest of the family, embodies collectivism. Hofstede refers to collectivistic cultures as the ones in which people are expected to be interdependent and show conformity to in group norms and values. The family aligns with the term in the sense that all of them agreed that what is best for Nai Nai is to let her live her last days not knowing that she is dying, so she will not carry the emotional burden of her death. Hofstede's individualism versus collectivism dimension is portrayed in the film through the tension between Billy's individualism and her family's collectivism.
This movie has some scenes that represent power distance, as it shows an example of a high power distance culture. That will be Chinese culture and a low power distance culture. Um, in this case, the United States, represented by Billy and her parents. Now, moving on to the scenes. On the image on the left, Billy is reproaching her parents for not having told her about her grandmother's health condition. She had cancer and they didn't want to tell her. And in the images below, the situation is similar because she was confronting her mother in some way. And even though this attitude may be seen as disrespectful, they don't seem bothered. Um, and they just listen to her and explain why they took some decisions, even though she is also telling them directly that she is upset. And then in the scene on the right, Billy wants her father to stop smoking, and her uncle tells her that she's not supposed to control her father. But then, when her uncle offers her father a cigarette, um, her father rejected. So he did listen to her, and her uncle attitude, or her uncle telling her that she shouldn't be telling her father what to do and not what to do, demonstrates that he is more adapted to Chinese culture. And then in this scene that I took as an example, Billy's mother told her that Nanai, or her grandmother, disliked staying in the United States because she couldn't tell anyone what to do. And this shows that elders' voices or grandmothers' voices are not as influential in the United States as they are in China. And that is why Billy's parents, who are more accustomed to the US culture, did not allow her to take control.
Hello, today I will analyze how the movie reflects the hike context. And China reflects the hike context because people are not direct. So people have to guess the hidden message in the conversations and in the interactions. As in the case of the movie, the main issue was the Nanai's illness, and they decide to hide her illness in order to keep the order or her happiness in that um, situation. So, this is how they reflect the high context. They are not direct with the situation and they prefer to hide her condition of high context communication because the family doesn't really plan the wedding for the couple because they don't want to get married, but it is an excuse for everyone to come together, to come to China and see Nai Nai. So it is a very interesting point of high context communication because they don't say directly, we are here to say goodbye because you are going to die, but the meaning is clear in the situation because they are in China, because they want to show their love, they want to show, um, they want to care Nai Nai in her situation. So it allows them to be part of her process, but they are not direct with her. So she doesn't know. She believes that the family is there, do the wedding, but um, the meaning or the hidden message is because she is sick. And I there is a part of the movie where Billy asked, "What if she wants to say goodbye?" And they replied, say goodbye. That's too painful. So that's a very interesting characteristic of high context communication where it shows us that being direct is not part of their culture and they prefer to hide information in order to keep the family together or keep the family members happy.
As we saw, China is a high context culture, in contrast to the US, that is low context. Throughout the film, we get to see how Billy and her family, who had lived in the States for many years, have been adopting certain characteristics from the low context culture from the US. As Hall explains, low context cultures, in contrast to high context cultures, rely on direct and explicit communication. For instance, in this scene that you are seeing here, Billy is talking with her father, and she knows from the context that he is struggling with something. So she directly asks him if he has been drinking. And her question is quick and direct, reflecting a characteristic of low context communication. However, it is important to notice that Vili is direct with older people and also with younger people. Later in the film, we get to see Vili directly asking a younger doctor about her grandma's health. She said something like, "How bad is she? You can tell me the truth." Her question is not only direct, but also was a question that was seeking for honesty. In addition, even when all her family was there, she decided to speak in English. And the doctor as well. He speaks English and he replied directly, advanced cancer. This interaction is particularly interesting because we get to see how younger generations who have been exposed to different cultural environments or have had different intercultural experiences can switch, interact, or adapt in both contexts. In China, and mostly with her grandmother, Billy switches between both as she expresses her love to her with words and also with non communication as well.
Hey everyone. Now let's analyze the movie using the four stages of culture shock. I'm pretty sure many of us have experienced culture shock, whether traveling abroad or moving to a new city. It's that feeling of disorientation when you're suddenly in a completely new environment. But it's not just one big feeling, it happens in four predictable stages. We're going to break down each of these stages and use this movie as our guide. It's a perfect example of what happens when two cultures collide. First up is the honeymoon stage. Think of this as the everything is amazing phase. You're enchanted by the sight, sounds, and people. Everything is new and exciting, and you're full of optimism. In the farewell, this is when Billy first arrives in Changchun, China. She's so happy to be reunited with her family, especially her beloved grandmother, Nai Nai. The basking atmosphere of the wedding is a source of pure joy, and she's just soaking it all in. Next comes the frustration stage, and this is where things get real. The initial charm wears off, and daily struggles and cultural misunderstandings starts to get on your nerves. You might feel lonely, anxious, or even a little homesick. This is the core of the farewell. Billy, raised with American values of individualism, is baffled and hurt that her family is hiding Nai terminal cancer diagnosis from her. This lie, a deeply ingrained cultural practice rooted in Chinese collectivism, clashes directly with Billy's belief that her grandmother has a right to know the truth. This internal conflict causes her immense stress, and she starts to feel alienated from the very people she loves. The third stage is adjustment. You're no longer fighting the new culture, but you're starting to understand it. You're building a routine and becoming more confident in navigating this new world. For Billy, this happens as she talks with her family, particularly her uncle. He explains the cultural philosophy behind their actions. That in Chinese culture, the family takes on the emotional burden to protect the individual from fear. While Billy still doesn't agree with the lie, she starts to see it not as an act of cruelty, but as an act of love. This understanding is the first step toward adjusting. Finally, we have the acceptance stage. This is when you've made peace with the culture differences. You're not just tolerating the new culture, you're able to appreciate it. You found a way to bridge the gap between your home culture and the new one. By the end of the film, Vivi accepts her family's decision to maintain the lie. She doesn't have to fully adopt their values, but she respects them. The final title card, which reveals Nai Nai is still alive 6 years later and is still unaware of her diagnosis, underscores that her family's method has a different kind of validity. Billy has moved from frustration to acceptance, finding a new kind of love for her family that includes their different way of seeing the world. So, have you ever experienced culture shock? Let us know which stage resonated with you the most in the comments. This ends our video blog today. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.